Yes, so we met at the Guadalajara Film Festival, and I remember it was one of my nightmare scenarios because I am not a social person. And I was there with the director of the film, Angel Estrada, and he's a completely social person, right? And as we all know, the thing about film festivals, yes, of course, it's the films, but you're there to meet people, make connections and all that. And I was like, I have to like do something like that. And we walk to the party, and as soon as we walk in, he's like, "See ya," and he just goes off, and I'm just like, "Oh my god!" So I was just literally like standing there, like all by myself, like a freaking loser. And then all of a sudden, I feel smoke, like cigar smoke, in my face, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And my first reaction was, "I gotta be a dick about this because that's just how I am." And I was like, "No, man, you're here to socialize, make friends." And then I turn around, and then I see this lady, just going, like, taking a picture. It's just like
There was a beautiful
smoke
light.
directly in
Gotta
my
say, in my
face.
defense, there was a beautiful light, and I was smoking into the light
Oh,
because
right, right.
do that sort of thing. If you're
She
in a
just,
certain
and I remember that I was like photobombing, and then I don't know what you said, but I immediately caught that accent, and I was like, "What?" She's not like this Mexican, lady that's trying to speak English. I was like, "Oh my god, there's an actual accent," and then we got to talking. Uh, and we talked for about, I don't know, 20 minutes, and then you had to leave for like a party, and then I guess we exchanged cards, and here we are, like 3 or 4 years later.
years later, yeah, in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, in the middle of this worldwide pandemic.
Yeah,
But
to a certain extent, it has helped us. I mean, we're trying to look at the silver lining with this
yeah,
COVID deal, right? It has helped us on this podcast because we're planning to do this podcast pre-COVID, and we're thinking about creating this big budget to go travel and meet everybody. But I think that after COVID, it just makes this easier and convenient for everybody, especially
yeah.
for like you, like our guests, like you.
No, definitely, definitely. Zoom is like it's just an everyday thing, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. Don't get me wrong. I miss,
People.
inviting clients to dinner or something like that. Now we're making like these social virtual dinners, which is really awkward.
The new social. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, Anna, I know I've seen a little bit of your work. I've seen Hilda, and I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple of short films. See the one you did with Tenoch Huerta, and
What mercy?
and I've seen that one. Uh, so we're here to talk to you. I was just telling Angel that I'm so excited because we get to talk with like a proper actress, And I've told her that you and I, we both have dwelled into acting. We're both filmmakers. I'm a writer. I'm a director. So we can actually like go deep into this whole acting stuff. So the first thing I want to ask you, Anna, is tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, what's the background? Like, what's your deal?
Oh, okay, okay, okay. It's that one, is it? Right.
That one, yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually studied philosophy first because I have a lot of existential problems, which is actually related to acting. I found out later
Right.
because after I finished philosophy, I decided to go and do a master's in physical theatre in Turin in a school called Atelier Teatro Fisico of a guy called Filippo Radice, and I was there for 3 years. And then, like in an intermittent year while I was studying philosophy, I came to Mexico for a year, and I really enjoyed it here. But I was also like, what the fuck am I going to do in Mexico? That's weird. Like English actress, studied in Italy, living in Mexico. What kind of roles would I get? And so I was a bit reluctant to come back, but then every year there was like some excuse. I'd get invited to teach. I taught in like Tijuana and then in Guadalajara and then Mexico City a lot. And I just kept coming back and I got more and more film. Like even though I studied physical theater and I kind of like my idea was to do more theater, I kept getting more and more film work, and that's really how I started dedicating myself to this because I obviously studying philosophy, I thought I would be unemployed a lot, and yeah, I mean, well, when I studied theater, I started to write, and I like wrote a couple of pieces of theatre, and that's kind of, I saw myself more directing theatre than anything. But when I got to Mexico City, a lot of doors opened for me. I met an amazing director called Farida Schroeder, and she says that I'm her fetish actress, and she pushes me, and I love her to bits because she's like, we're each other's number one fans. So I started to work with her, and she's the director of Mercy. And after I did Mercy, like, I hope it's not because I was naked like half of the film. Like, I started to get a lot of work. So yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a strange story because like I would have thought that I would have been able to do that all the time, and that's how I've been living for the last 12 years, so there's a lot, filming a lot, and then I did a lot of short films. I met some amazing directors, and I had an opportunity also, like, I also write, so it really worked out really great for me because I managed to have enough time to write the things that I wanted to write, and at the same time be involved in some amazing projects, and yeah, and mostly film, which is great. I never did any television. Like, I didn't have that. Oh no, I did a couple of series at the end, like the last couple of years that I was in Mexico City. But yeah, mostly I did film, and it's always great to work with directors. I really love interpreting other people's stories. For me, I always felt like it was a very big privilege, but also a responsibility to take something that maybe somebody had been working on for years and years and years and make that like real and tangible and visible and criticable, like, because sometimes it's tough when people have an idea and they turn it into something real, and then the real world has things to say about it that they hadn't anticipated. But I really felt that was a privilege, and I got to work with some amazing directors, and yeah, I'm quite proud of that.
You really started acting full on until you got here in Mexico. Did you ever do anything back home?
No, like, because I didn't really do acting when I was in the UK. I studied philosophy, so I was in the University of Greenwich, and I studied that for 3 years. And while I did philosophy, I did a section which was dramaturgy. So I did a performance as my thesis of that, and the performance was kind of abstract and kind of showed, I suppose, like the existential problems of an actor, because it was all about like how to understand and how to know who you are. And I guess, like, I suppose those themes are always with me because I really feel like they're my main themes as an artist, as a person. I'm always thinking about how we become who we are, and what makes us who we are, and how you can, as an actor, how you can show like a rich inner world of someone with a few jests, because I tend to think that actually communicates a lot more. I think we understand a lot more about who people are through the things that they do, more than the things that they say, which is a bit bizarre because you get a script and it doesn't usually tell you much descriptions of things that they do. It tells you what they say, but that's where you get to interpret. You get to fill in all of those blanks and make that rich. And so yeah, I guess that no, in the UK I didn't do any acting. But you never know what's going to happen in the future, so that's always a possibility.
Of course.
I have a really. This is a really great question here. Well, I mean, you brought up something really, really interesting. You have a philosophy background, and then you started acting.
Yeah.
From our experience,
Yeah.
Joan and myself, that we've done some theater and some short films in the past. Every time we were in the process of writing or discovering, the inner process of a character, we tend to I don't know if you can use this word in English, philosophize. We just go deep into the philosophy of the character, and we start, making these arguments up as to, justifying the character, his or her actions, the story. Do you think that, okay, you don't have a theater background, you have a philosophy background, but do you think that your philosophy background gave you the tools to better understand characters, and therefore, you know, you've been a working actress?
Yeah, I mean, like, I studied first philosophy, then I studied physical theatre. So it's kind of like a bit of a juxtaposition, because philosophy is all about like why, and physical theatre is all about how.
Oh,
So
okay.
I absolutely agree that like all of the philosophizing, I think that especially when you're writing, you need to question yourself of the coherence, because I mean, I'm not saying that people are very coherent, but usually they have a belief system that runs through all of their actions. And I think when you're writing, you really have to be conscious of that, because once you've written something, you have to give that to the world, and all of these hundreds of different people have to take it and interpret it and make something then coherent, like all together. And at least I can say, like, as an actor, I'm not a producer or anything like that, but as an actor, when you take a script, like, what you want to do is be faithful to, like, to lots of different levels. Like, first of all, you want to be faithful to your character and to the reality of the things that they did, because sometimes people do really bad things, and you, as an actor, you can't judge them. You have to be sympathetic to them no matter what they do. And I think that that sensitivity to even be able to take something that's like, you'd say, unjustifiable, and be able to enter into it and give it belief and be sensitive to that person and understand that they have a reason for behaving that way. I think that that's something that you really have to take on as an actor. But I think that really good actors also understand, when you read a script, you want to understand the function of a character within the script. So when you get a really great script, you can already tell why your character is there. You can understand if your character is the main character, or sometimes you understand that your character is actually there to enhance another character, and so you have to have the ability then to be able to step back and say, okay, I understand that my function here is this. I'm going to create the reality for my character, because I have, my responsibility is to create the reality of my character, but I also have to understand my function in the bigger scheme of things, in the script as a whole is this. And so you have to understand how to position yourself, like, then when you're on scene, like, in relationship to the camera and things, like, because really there's nothing worse than having an actor who has a little teeny tiny part and is desperate to grab the limelight, so like, if you don't have a consciousness of like these different levels, I think that you can cause a lot of problems for your director, for your production. You can kind of betray the script. And so I think that level of interpretation, I think, is something that I would definitely consider was given birth to through philosophy for me, because I think really great actors, they take it all in and they just process it and they don't think about it that much. But that's not the way that I work. Like, I'm a very studious actor, so like, I'm going to study everything and I'm going to come with everything that I've got. And I love doing 40 takes, and I love giving everything. I don't think there's just like, there's some actors that come to set and they're just like, this is what I do, and don't really have a lot of different options. But I love it. Like, I mean, I'm going to use the example of Mercy, because I think you've seen it. So this is a like 14-minute uncut one shot. So we filmed it for 2 days, and like, it was pretty rough. But every single, like, the director had so much confidence in us that every single take afterwards she would give us feedbacks, like, so precise feedback. So like, it would be like, okay, Anna, like, this time after you put your hand on his head, like, you breathed in this take, and I really need you to repeat that, and then look up to the ceiling, and then when you're going to turn and look at the camera, I need to feel this, and this, and that, when you have that, like, oh yeah, I just got goosebumps here. Because you know that you're like a portal, like, this script that somebody has spent so much time on is living through you. So for me, that piece I love, because I know that, like, I gave her everything, and she was always like very, very comforting, because she would always say, like, don't worry if I have to do jump cuts and stuff like that, I don't care. But I knew that she wanted a one shot, we both knew, Tenoch and I, we knew she wanted a one shot, you know. So we just kept going at it and going at it. She had the confidence to like to keep asking for what she wanted, and I feel that for me is like a really great director, because some actors, I mean, I don't want to generalize, but some directors that I've worked with, they don't know the capacity of an actor. They don't know how much you can give them, and so they kind of they try and find someone who's kind of similar to the character that they have in their head, and then they kind of just accept what you give them, but they don't really know that you could give them anything, you know. So they don't push you to get that perfect thing, which is like freaking crazy, you know. Like if I think about it now, and it's like, you know, you've gone through 14 minutes, and like that the second day of filming, I had a terrible cough, so like my character didn't have a cough, you know. So it's like 14 minutes, I can't cough. I'm pretty exhausted because we're filming all night, so this is probably like about 4 or 5 in the morning. We had an earthquake in the middle as well, which was crazy. And then and so like, and it was the last take, which is the one that was chosen, but because we already got to that point where we were just like, we were there, you know, and I wasn't thinking about the character. Like we did all this work, we did all the rehearsal, we rehearsed for a week, and like by the time we got there on the second day, like she could ask me for these like super specific things, but because like all the characters there, all the actions are there, you've got a freaking choreography, and then on top of that, she wants this final look of like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here, you know? And she's trusting you. She's not telling you like, in that, I want you to kind of close your eye and blah, 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 but you know what, because you kind of all enter into this crazy reality, you know? Oh my God, I think I completely just went around that
No,
that
it's
That's
question.
great.
that's what I wanted. Yeah.
That's actually what all the wonderful things that you were saying. I was remembering that just a few days ago, I was watching this masterclass that Iñárritu gave at UNAM, and he was talking precisely about that, about actors and knowing how deep their actors were in their abilities, and I actually wrote it here a little bit. Ba, 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 ba. Oh my God! Hold on.
I have something to drink. Am I allowed to smoke? Is that rude? Is that bad?
No, you know
Anna,
what?
you can do whatever the fuck you want. All right, don't
Yeah,
worry
and
about
you
it.
know what? And let me tell you something. I quit smoking now for about a year, and I miss smoking. So please,
Okay.
be my
I'll
guest.
smoke you. I'll smoke. You can smoke through me. And apparently I
Exactly.
smoke pretty well. I
Yeah,
I
you know
mean,
what? Why don't you take the smoke and then blow it into the camera? It'll be a flashback to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good memories. So Anna, back on the acting thing. Uh,
yeah.
but like well, once again, like going back to Iñárritu, he was saying that he thinks there are two types of actors: the actors that work from inside out, and the
Uh-huh.
actors who work from inside out. Uh, I myself, the times that I've done roles, I'm definitely outside in. Um, what kind of actor do you think you are? Where do you fall in the category?
Well, I mean, I've got to say, like, I'm going to have to, sorry, be a bit anal about that, because Iñárritu might have said it, but it's not really his, because I mean, there's an absolute like technique of this work, and I think that the best actors do both, you know, because I studied physical theater, and the basis of physical theater is that you can express anything in gesture, you know. So and I really, really believe that. Like, but for example, to understand what a gesture means, you have to have uh, a really elaborate vocabulary of gesture, and to decide what is the best gesture, you have to really know your character, which is psychological, you know. So Grotowski, who is a work from the outside in, said that you could find a movement that would provoke you to cry. So I believe that, because that's happened to me. Like in my training, I've definitely felt that you get to a point through physical work that you can provoke things through your body. But I also I also think that in cinema in specific, I think that you need to know also how to be very deep with yourself, and you learn how to navigate the inside of yourself the same ways that you can navigate the outside of yourself. So you know your buttons, you know where you look for anger in yourself, and you know where you look for pain and sorrow and regret and things that that are universal, like through different characters, you know, like um I mean, like, I mean, I can talk like the theory around it, but it always ends up being a little bit more complex, right? Because you can say a character, I always try and find like the pillars of a character, you know, like what are the things that really make that character click? And I think that they're things that are true all the way through their lives. But then I think that also we go through, even if you have a character, then you have periods in your life where you're definitely like, you can have a depression, you know, you can be a happy person and be having a depression, and then you could be having a depression, but then you can have a really freaking great day. It's like a great day within your depression. So like to be able to pull all of that together, I think I think there's a psychological aspect to it, but there's also kind of like a little bit of alchemy there, you know, because it's kind of difficult to be like a person who has a super, like, I don't know, like a character who has a great belief in destiny, but they've something terribly traumatic has happened to them, but at the same time something beautiful has happened in that moment. Like I'm trying to think of an example. Oh, have you seen Kidding
Kidding.
with Jim Carrey?
Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the show.
It's a TV show, yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yeah.
No, Kidding.
No. Kid. Oh.
It's with Jim Carrey.
No, I haven't.
It rings a
No, you
bell.
guys would love this.
It
Oh
rings a
my,
bell.
this is a testimony to, like, because this is a character who has had like I don't want to you know give too much away, but it's a character who's had like a very sheltered, very optimistic life, but as you get to know him a bit better, you realize that that is kind of a little bit superficial. But then his son dies, and then within that, like, you know, within that period of like deep mourning, there are moments when he's like deeply um, fascinated with things that are happening with him. And I think to have that kind of depth in a character where you can tell so much about them without having like a huge backstory, because this is, I mean, this is kind of something I notice a lot in narratives now, like that they're always kind of trying to tell you all of the story of the character, like his, like what happened to fuck them up and to make them like have you know problems with their relationship. So then they show you their mother and the parents fighting and blah blah blah, and it wasn't always like that, and I kind of missed that, because when something is really well written, you can give that all without having to have a flashback and having to go back into their life and see those things. You can intuit all of that. And yeah, so I mean, but this is a kind of problem I have with narratives right now, you know, that I'm seeing a lot of. But as far as working from the outside in or the inside out, I've seen other actors do both and have been completely moved by both. I think that for theatre, I would tend to work from the outside in, and for cinema, I would work from the inside out.
That now, staying on the subject, and also a little bit on what you said previously about, you know, your experience on sets. Uh, you know, from my experience with actors, you know, I really don't like to do auditions. I'm not a big fan of the audition process because I think it's a little bit pointless. If someone comes into the door and you give them a page and you judge their acting ability just on those 5 minutes that he had with the page, it's like, that's not acting, that's like improv, and not everybody's good at improv. It's not. Oh, hold on. And hold on, and it's a little bit. I don't know. It's like how do you expect the I don't know, like how can I expect them to give me exactly what I'm looking for when I just gave them the page 5 minutes
Yeah.
ago, or even if you gave them something with 24 hours notice. I much prefer to see something they have done, whatever it is, even if it is like a 5 minute short film. Like I want to see them in action. That is going to tell me a million more times more than seeing you read something here for the first time or something that you had for 24 hours. I'm not a fan of that process, but uh, from my experience, what I much prefer, the whole idea of like, is he or she a good actor? uh, I can do a lot more with commitment, with a committed actor, than a very talented actor. Whatever. I mean, sometimes I have been able to get much better performance from maybe a not so much experienced actor, but he was committed. He was there to do the job, because I fucking hate, and maybe this is my fault as a director, when I see an actor like pumping the brakes, like deliberately pumping the brakes, or not saying the line, or not doing the action properly. And like I said, I don't, maybe that's my fault as a director, but when they're not fully committed. So to me, that's the key to it.
Well,
I
Joan,
won't say I won't say a good actor. I'm sorry.
I want to apologize on behalf of that actor, because unfortunately I think that it wasn't the actor. The problem wasn't the actor. The problem was the human being. Like, there's a lot of ego that's involved.
but
And but what I will say, and it's kind of going back to the thing of the casting, because I actually had the opportunity to be a casting director in like about 2 years ago, and it's crazy, but you can tell a lot about people.
What's interesting here is that actors, directors, and anybody in the artistic industry, in the entertainment industry, there's big egos in the place, right? The thing is that
oh yeah.
it's not as and I was mentioning, which I thought it was really cool. It's not that you're an actor, it's that you're a director, a producer, a casting director, or whatever, a manager. Is that is the person. And what I'm really intrigued here is how quickly can you read a person by an audition, by a 5 minute audition. Anna was telling us that she can read, I mean, you can read a lot about people in those 5 minutes. So can you tell us about your experience?
Um, I mean, it really. I mean, I guess it really does also depend on your criteria, huh? Because like I definitely went into it thinking that I wanted to send really good actors, that I wanted to that it was the first time this director had directed, so I wanted people who were very confident, who could propose things. But like, I mean, I went in there with my little geeky hat on of like, I had my list of things that I was looking for. But I mean, you can definitely tell in 20 minutes an awful lot about a person. You can tell, like, for example, some people come in, they have a really great proposal, like they have a really good first take, and then you ask them to change something and they start to fall to pieces, or they can't remember the text because the way that they learn their text is one way, so if you want them to change their interpretation of the text, they can't do that. So I would definitely choose a versatile actor over an actor. Like, I mean, now I'm going to show my prejudice. I have a bit of a thing with method acting, because I feel like it definitely you towards that kind of thing, that you feel like, no, but I know this character and this character would do it like this. Yeah, but I wrote the script and I don't want you to do it like this. I want you to do it like that. So like, so that you don't get into that kind of conflict. I feel like this whole thing of like these actors who are like, I have studied this character, I know how he would have breakfast. How dare you, director, tell me that he would not chew his popcorn for, you know? Like, yeah, but I have a script, and in the script, this is like 2 lines, which is equivalent to, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds, and you want me to film me for 5 minutes chewing popcorn. So like, I have a bit of a problem with that, because also the director has to take so many things into consideration, which isn't just the interpretation of the character. So I think that the thing is, in a really great team, you would have a flexibility within this, and maybe there's a way that a great director would instruct an actor to get him to come on board, but sometimes you just want the actor to do what you want them to do, you know, and just eat the freaking popcorn more quickly, you know. So I don't know, like I would say that definitely from my one experience, which was just helping a friend of casting, it really helped me to realize how much you can see of someone in just a couple of takes, because really the interpretation of the text sometimes is like so overwhelmingly great that it's the only thing that matters, but more often than not, you're looking for someone who listens to you, who can take direction, who you could even say to them, can you give me another option, and we'll give you another option without giving them direction, just trusting that they have a big theory and that they can do things different ways, you know. So I would always go for that over the this well, this was what we were getting into, wasn't it, which was that sometimes there's a little bit of fear on behalf of the actors that they just want to see you and they want you to be the character. And I would definitely say that that's something that exists, because there are definitely casting directors that work that way and they just want to see the character and they want you to be that character. But I've had the privilege to work with directors who don't work like that, and it's much more fulfilling as an actor because it also allows you to explore and it allows you to do different things and always get to something better. I always believe that like the more takes you get, that you're getting somewhere more pure, you know, you're getting closer to the idea that the director has. And
Yes.
but then there are some actors that are just like there's only, oh God, what was it? I think there's a phrase that is something like the only original take is the first take, you know. So some actors really believe this, and
Yeah.
I'm not one of them, you know. I'm definitely not one
Yeah.
of them who believe that.
Yeah.
Or I would be super happy to do like 40 takes of everything. I know that's impractical and completely ridiculous, but hey, if it was for me, I would like go work through it and I would freaking nail that on the 40th, you know.
Yeah, I've just barely on my last work, my last film, I just barely adopted that philosophy, which I like. If I had to choose, I wouldn't do so many takes because yes, it's exhausting. But also, I'm not afraid to do 70 takes to get
If
exactly
you
what I
want,
want.
exactly,
Exactly. You know, so if we can get it in 2, 3 takes, perfect. But if we have
right?
to do 70,
We're going to
fine.
keep going. Yeah. I
Yes.
totally, but this is it. This is why I also say like, but it's kind of the same thing that I was saying about the script. Like some actors read a script, they only read their own lines. Maybe they don't even
Yeah.
read the lines of the other person. Like this is what you see when you cast someone. Some actors learn their lines and they don't learn the lines of the person that they're speaking to. So they'll interrupt you because they really haven't learned a dialogue. They've learned kind of a monologue. So that kind of thing for me is like, right, tachado, you know, like I'm going to cross your name off the list because for me that's unacceptable, like because acting is reacting. And so
Yes.
if like, I mean, sometimes I would just reread I'd ask them to do another take and I would read the text in a different way with different intonations and like perhaps a different rhythm or a different intention, and I would hope that they would change because I would hope that they were listening to me, and sometimes they don't. So those kind of things show you the quality of that actor. But yeah, not everyone works like that, you know. So
You know, there's a really funny story with now that you mentioned that Eva Longoria, uh,
uh-huh
when she auditioned for her role in Desperate Housewives.
uh-huh
I remember that her role, she was a really, really greedy and a really greedy woman with a huge ego, and because she was a supermodel and her husband was rich, you know.
yeah
So, um, so when she auditioned for the role, the I believe it was a casting director or somebody found out that she never like actually memorized, or not that you have to memorize the other person's lines, but she just memorized her lines. Like she didn't even care. She didn't even read. anything from the other characters. She just read her lines. She just memorized her lines. She didn't give a fuck about the other characters. And and they hired her because they're like, you know what, your character is like that. You are like that. Just go on.
Yeah,
She
but
got
see,
lucky.
this is where I say that there's this big fight in Mexican cinema because a lot of the really great directors are kind of put off by you being an actor because they feel like they want that person. They want you to be that person, and they don't want to have to direct you. And
That's idiotic.
I get it, but I don't know if they've worked with really great actors, because working with really great actors, you can get that too, but you can also have other things, you know.
Yeah.
And then I suppose once you've chosen your actor, if that's the way you're working, then you just have to kind of accept everything that they give you, or you have to kind of, I don't know, torture them to get the things that you want, you know, because a really great, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, you know, I'm gonna end up talking about Laurence Olivier or someone who's like a very, very, like, because I mean, you know, but then he had some phrases that are like, let the wig do the work, you know? So like, I don't think he was right about everything, but I also do really think that, well, there's this really famous story about him. He was working with Dustin Hoffman, and Dustin Hoffman's like super method, right? So one day they show up at set, and you know, Laurence Olivier is like perfectly preened and peinadito, like he's just, you know, he's slept all night and he's like looking fabulous, and he goes into makeup, and Dustin Hoffman is like, he comes in and he freaking smells like alcohol and vomit, and he says to him, like, Dustin, are you all right? I mean, what's going on? Are you I mean, has something happened? And he said, no, like my character is going through like this really horrible moment, and it's like he's so tortured, and so like I decided I would just walk the streets and just drink whiskey all night and just not sleep. I slept on a bench, and I woke up like half an hour ago, and I got a cab here, and Laurence Olivier turns to him and says, like, Dustin, why don't you try acting?
that reminds me so much. And even I think you were there. This is years ago, and we were doing this film, and I had to play one of the parts because I don't know, we couldn't find an actor. I don't know why. So it was like I had to play one of the parts. And we were about to do this scene where it's sort of like a fight scene, and with this other actor, this local actor, and he's like a theater actor, and he's like super method, right? And we were supposed to do the scene, right? And it was supposed to be like this insert, so we both had to be like out of breath. And he turns to me, and he goes, "Hey man, you want to go outside with me, and we can do a couple laps around the building." So we're out of breath, right? And I just like turned to him, and I was like, or we could act as if we were out of breath. Look, it's the same thing, man. And he sort of looked at me like, God damn it. But he gave me like this look like, oh, you're not a proper actor. And I was like, motherfucker, come on, man. You just act as, so I totally get it. I'm not mad at all, you know? So I totally get that. There's this question that I want to ask you, Anna, and which is, I asked this question to every artist, which something that I'm fascinated with, which is the creative process of an artist. I call myself a proper artist, not just because I went to like an art school, but because I have to do art. Like I physically and mentally and spiritually need to do art. For the past 6 months, I haven't had a camera in my hand, so I've been painting and drawing. So I'm very interested about the creative process of each individual artist. And you're an artist, you're an actress. And my question to you is, what is your creative process like? Like, do you just act? Do you do something like do you have any other art form outlet? Or if you do just act, what is like, how do you prepare a character? How do you get into that mindset? How does your mind work? That's pretty much what I'm interested in.
Oh, okay. Just like a small one there, Joan.
A little bit.
Look, I'm gonna answer you a little bit abstract because I'm going through a process right now, which is like, like all of my life, I've always had like hundreds of projects at the same time, and I love that. Like I always loved that about my brain. I was just like, I'm writing this script, and I'm doing a documentary about my father, and like I had all of these crazy things on the go, and then I got pregnant, and like my little child absorbed all of my creative energy, and literally for the first time in my life, I really couldn't I couldn't make things. I couldn't even conceive of them. I couldn't think of them. And the only thing that the only way that I could rationalize this to myself, because I really felt very, very, very different, was that actually this small little being was taking all of my creation because she was creating herself, So, like now my baby's 2 years old. It was her birthday yesterday. She was born on Mexican Independence Day, and
All right.
the 16th of September. So I really feel right now that the creative process can take so many different forms. Like it's not a surprise to me that you would say that now that you're not filming, that you would be painting, and because if you have that need, that is expressed. But if it's I think that everyone has that, like but I think that it can be expressed in so many different forms that even growing a child inside you is a creative act if you decide that that's what it is for you, if you allow that to teach you things. So although I couldn't, like, for the last 2 years I haven't been able to sit down and write, and literally, like, it just came back when I stopped breastfeeding. Like, I literally just, my brain came back, and I was like, oh my God, this was what my brain was like. And I get my 3 million things that I want to work on, and I love it. But I love the fact that, that our bodies are so intelligent, and that our nature is like so refined that we almost have a, like, the word is like vinculo, like a link
That
to
link.
the things
Yeah.
that we create, that is um, that is so smart, that when you're really creating, like when your body is creating, like it takes up all of that energy. And now that I have it back, like I'm so grateful for it, because I really feel it, and I really, like, I have these amazing dreams, and they resolve my problems about my idea. Like at the moment, like just talking about, like, because I'm unfortunately a todóloga. I do everything. Now I'm actually, because partly because of COVID,
That
I'm
is so
writing.
Mexican, eh?
Yeah,
Todóloga.
I
That
know.
is
Yeah.
Mexican.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm a, what's it? It's a like a handyman, and
Yeah.
bit of everything. But like now I'm writing again, so like I'm writing like a Bible for a like a short series, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's crazy, because I realize that I'm actually writing it as an actor. So I get to, like, now I'm actually being like a 25-year-old computer geek, and then like in a couple of days time I'm going to be like a 60-year-old, that same character when he's 60, and I'm writing his memories of these things. And it's crazy, because actually as a writer you can go beyond things that you can as an actor, because I
Yes.
guess, like, just before I got pregnant, like I felt like I kind of had got to the limit of, it's kind of, I mean, this is a little bit of a problem about the casting thing. It's kind of, we're gonna bring all of this stuff together. So like,
Yeah.
there is one limit to the casting, which is in the end that people are seeing your body, right? And there is a way that you have to present yourself in a casting, and that ends up kind of stereotyping you. So I ended up getting a lot of the same characters in the end, and that was really frustrating for me, because I didn't want to be freaking gringa, like an North American character, like, or a mom, or all of these characters that I got in Mexico City. I got to the end of that. I was like, I was a bit over it. So when I'm now like sitting and writing, and to be able to start writing from all of these different characters that are very, very different, I feel like I have the freedom that I don't have within my body, because in my body I have to be kind of this, whereas when you're writing you can be anything. And so I'm pretty much in love with writing at the moment.
Wow.
So that, I don't know if that explains the
that's and which links with the other question I wanted to ask you. And I relate to what you said about being sort of like typecast. Like a few years ago, I started to get like some acting work, but I would always get cast like a cholo, or because if I take off my glasses, you got that. You got this scary guy, so if I put on my glasses and I'm all right, and I started getting a lot of roles of that, and I was like, come on, man. Yeah, sure, it was money and whatever, but at some point you have to be like, all right, I gotta stop. That's not what I'm doing. Thankfully, I'm mainly a writer director, so I could do that. So I get what you mean by being typecast. And what you were saying about you like starting to get a lot of roles as as an American, all that. There's this question that but this is actually like the first question that I wrote when I was preparing this talk, which is, okay, you are from the UK and you're living here in Mexico, right? And my first question is, why? Because even though I love my country and everything, but sadly there are a lot of things that I don't like about my country, which is, so we're talking like, why would someone who lives in the UK, lives this powerful nation, would choose to live in Mexico? And I don't say it in like that kind of way, in which I have met other people. So my question is, are you guys seeing something that maybe we are not? Like, what do you see in Mexico that makes you go, yes, this is going to be my home? I don't know if you're planning to stay here forever, but what was like the determining factor for you saying, okay, Mexico is going to be my home for a while?
Oh gosh.
And also, pursue work and all that.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I would definitely say that my decisions are made based on my life and not my work, because if it was my work, I would probably be in LA now as like working as a waitress, But
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, I'm trying to think of like a clever word to talk about it, but if I'm honest, I would say that from the first time, I came to Mexico with absolutely no preconceptions. I really didn't know anything about Mexico. Like, I actually came to Mexico but thinking that I was going to go to Argentina, because I started dancing tango when I was 18, and because I'm European, I thought Argentina was pretty close. So I thought, okay, I'll go to Mexico and then I'll get a bus down to Argentina. Well, that didn't happen, evidently.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Back in Latin America, it's like Australia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, Australia's really big. Oh shit. Oh no, because Europeans think is tiny, because Europe is tiny, but like you come to Mexico and you're like, oh no, okay, so Chihuahua is like the size of Europe.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So like I came here with no preconceptions, and I guess I have to say what I truthfully feel, which is that I think that Mexico City is like I always tell people when they come to Mexico City, you have to be very careful what you wish for, because it's a manifesto of your dreams and desires. Because for me, when I got to Mexico, I had some ideas of things that I wanted. I had a big kind of existential crisis, which is like I went on a trip and like I decided that I was going to go and live in all the countries that I had wanted to live in, and I went to Mexico thinking that I was going to go to Argentina. That didn't happen, because I got here and it was like so overwhelmingly like more than anything I had ever imagined, and the realities that I witnessed, I couldn't believe that there was so much life that I didn't know existed. So for me, like, and then within 2 months of being in Mexico, I went on this massive tour with my friends, and I saw like Chiapas, and I was like in Chiapas, and I was like, this is what Nietzsche was talking about. This is the pathos of distance, So like, philosophy student who's in Chiapas, and seeing the way that people deal with with their reality of things that don't really exist in Europe anymore, I think, because everything's kind of been a bit democratized. So everyone's pretty similar, and there's different languages and stuff, but people are very comfortable, and I think it's kind of a homogenized society. And in Mexico, it's really not. Like, you can literally just walk around the corner and it's like, oh my God, where am I? And then you go around the corner, it's like, oh, this is really nice. And it's like, oh my God, I'm terrified. Somebody's going to kill me. So like that kind of difference of life is something that really attracted me. Like, how does this work? Like, how do people deal with like someone with a Ferrari going through an area where, people don't have water, because I lived in Santa Fe when I first got to Mexico City. And then like, I was really fascinated, and I have to be honest that I feel like Mexico, that the people that it chooses don't choose it chooses you. Like, I didn't logically want to come to Mexico, but I just kept coming back and coming back. And then, as I said, like, it's a manifesto of your dreams. So like, then things kept working and working, and I got a job in a university, and I taught theater, and still, like, I did more projects, and I met more directors, and like, suddenly, then it's like, oh, this is Samantha Escalante. You're like, oh wow, okay, amazing. Oh, you just won Venice. Wow, that's crazy. And like, it was very overwhelming for me, but I felt very much a part of the community of filmmakers, and I still do. Like, even though now I live in Merida, I'm a little bit further away from it. Like, I'm really proud of Mexican cinema. I'm really proud of the films that my friends are making in Mexico City and the directors that I worked with. And I really believe that for Mexico, cinema is something very, very important in the identity that is coming. And hope that there are voices that are coming to express that. I definitely know of a couple of them, and very proud of them, and they're in the in the good fight. And Joan, I've been here for 12 years, so like, I've actually lived here for longer than I've lived in in other countries, so like any other one country. So it's for me, like, I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of bad things that I accept about Mexico because I've been here for this long, but I really feel that there's a struggle for people to have a better life, and I really feel like people are doing the best that they can for that, and I want to be part of that. My daughter's Mexican, and I'm very hopeful for Mexico in the future.
We all are. I'm sorry, I just have one question. It's just I keep linking them, and you just said that in here in Mexico we have this thing, which I'm sure you heard of, which is called malinchismo, which is
Oh,
we tend to be in awe of everything that is foreign and shiny. So you being a Brit from the UK, do you feel that you have benefited from your foreign status to get work as an actress or whatever here in Mexico?
no, because in the end, the body that you have, and like, I mean, this is going to sound like a terribly conceited comment, but like, I was like, God, can somebody just give me a character of an ugly person? Like, please, just let me be ugly. I know I can do that shit, But really, like, I mean, it's a double-sided thing, So like, I think that on one side you get good stuff from it, but then you also get bad stuff from it. So I've definitely got a lot of good things from it, but then I've also got a lot of not so good things from it. Like, it's limiting. You know what I mean? It's like, in the end, there's only so many characters, and they're usually not protagonists. So you can definitely get to the limit of that. But I mean, a lot of women say the same anyway. A lot of female actors say the same thing, just because there aren't that many characters for women. There aren't many protagonist roles for women. So, like, hey, I tend to take the good with the bad. So I think that it's a mixed bag, and I'm proud of the characters that I've had, and I don't think that I got the characters because I'm English. I think I got it because probably of my face and hopefully because of my acting. Some of it.
Like what you say is very true, because this uh, whatever phase we have, it's pretty much what we're
Right.
selling. I think oh my God, who said Danny Trejo? I don't know if you've heard about this actor. Uh, he said he says in interviews that he was blessed with his face, because that face has been able to keep him working as an actor for over 30 years. And
No,
I'm like, yes, totally, I get it.
yeah, you can't confuse him with anyone, and if that's the face you
Yeah,
want, that face.
exactly, exactly. Well, we can begin to wrap it up. Jael, I don't know if you have any more questions for Anna.
Well, I mean, it's great that you love Mexico. Um, you know, something that I was talking, I don't remember with whom, is that a lot of people that are not from Mexico appreciate Mexico more than Mexicans themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I love the way you talk about Mexico because you're just accepting a country with its good and bad aspects. I really love your perspective, that you come to this country, you have a daughter in this country, you got married in this country, and you accept the good and bad of this country. And I think that a lot of people, including myself, should have that type of mindset. Um, Also, another thing when it comes to acting, before we wrap it up, um, sometimes, and this is a conversation that we're having, people focus a lot on the methods. If you don't use a certain method, your acting sucks. Or if you are using the Lee Strasberg method, you're gonna kick ass in acting. Or if you go to Meisner, or if you go to Stanislavski and all that stuff, right? Something that I've learned is that you just have to take you know what best suits you. I remember that when I started acting, my first plays, um, I was the type of guy that locked himself in a room for a couple of days,
yeah,
did all this crazy stuff to get in character, right? The day I stopped doing that is when Joan and myself, we just wanted to start our own company, right? So we started with our own play. I mean, we didn't wrote it. We actually bought the rights for during that time, and it was a monologue. So Joan directed it, and I acted in it. But we were so busy, producing it, getting everything ready, all the logistics. I mean, it was a complete mess. Um, because I mean, that's the way it is. Because we were not only, working on the artistic side of it, we were also producing it, and then we were also trying to get people to buy tickets. I mean, we're doing everything. We were todólogos. And
That's
this is really funny
yeah.
because you become a producer without even knowing it. You know,
yeah,
you just want people to go see your play or your film. So I remember that I usually was like, "Oh, we need to, rehearse the whole play before, jumping in." And then we were so busy getting everything together, and we just jumped straight at it. And that was the first time that I told myself, "You know what, man? If you don't need to, lock yourself in a room for a week and then, come back, come, act.
yeah,
Just, just go along with it." Something that helped me, not getting really stressed about, oh fuck, I need, to get into character, was that the character was a loser in that play that we worked on. He was a big
yeah.
loser. So I was like, you know what? If I fuck it up, it's not me, it's the character. So I blamed it on
Wait,
him.
wait a minute. You never told me that.
No, I never told
Oh
anyone.
my God. Whoa, man. I know
So
I was all loosey goosey, man, but I didn't want you to fuck up the lines.
so I understand, and that's really interesting. And you seem really open minded when it comes to what type of method you use. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you mix them all together. It's just, you're bringing up results. You're kicking ass. I mean, that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think this is definitely something that's been brought on by age, because yeah, I used to be very idealistic, and when I went to study in Italy the masters in physical theatre, I was like super Lecoq, which is like the style that I studied, And then you realize that you finish that and it's just like, if it works. And I remember like having discussions about this and stuff. If it works, then take it, like, and I think it, I've become a lot more pragmatic as I've gotten older. And this is definitely something that's helped me with Mexico, my relationship with Mexico, because it's like, if you want, you can be angry with your parents all of your life and be like, oh, you fucked me up and I could have been a freaking huge success, but because you and my mom argued, blah blah blah, like you could really get stuck in that for your whole life, and like that could be the reason why you feel like you don't get the life that you want. But if you think of it really pragmatically, it's like, is it more important to be right or to be happy? And I think that in Mexico you have that dilemma all of the time, and it's really taught me how to prioritize like the things that work, the things that make me happy, the really real things. And this also helps you deal with all of the other things, like, because obviously we haven't talked about the whole politics of behind, how people get roles, and like how this is changing now, like you have to have a super Instagram and like all of these other things. And I think that gives us a tendency to like focus in the wrong parts of things, because as an artist, all you can really aspire to is like to touch people, and I think that if you focus on the things that work and the satisfaction that you get from the job that you do, then you can do anything. You can be a producer, or you can act, or you can do everything, which is what happens in theatre, that you always end up doing everything, like lighting, freaking
Every
printing the tickets, like that's what theatre is. And it's not painful for you, and you're like, I should not be doing this, there should be a producer, because you just love what you do, you just want people to see it and feel something, and that's the maximum that you can want from what you do, and I feel like you can have that relationship with everything. You can have that relationship with the country that you live in. You can have that relationship with your parents, with your friends, if you can accept them, and just find the best way to do what you can with what you have, and yeah, so I guess that whole thing of like you were saying about not being a purist or anything. Yeah, I've definitely got that now, because I realized that, like for me it's one way, but for another person it's another way, and maybe they're even better than me, but that might not work for me. So like in the end, you always just have to do the best that you can with what you've got.
That's really nice. That's really true as well. I mean, but and I also wanted to mention another thing that we talk about. So this is the theater part, right? Now something related to movies about that you guys were mentioning. Well, I mean, I don't mind doing 4 takes to 70 takes, which I mean, I'm with you guys. Like whatever works, whatever gets the job done. Fuck it, let's do it, right? Um, if it's 70 takes, well, I mean, poor editor, that guy having a great salary.
Yeah.
So I remember something. One time, Al Pacino came to El Paso. I don't know if Joan told you already. We're in a border city, and my favorite city of all. And people just tell me, "Oh, you're fucking stupid. I don't care. It's El Paso. I fucking love El Paso. You have no idea." To me, is better than NYC, and I've never been to New York. It's the most Mexican city
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh
the
yeah.
United States.
Oh yeah.
So that. Um, so he came to El Paso, right? It was like an evening with Al Pacino. So he started talking about his movies and blah blah blah. Of course, people were like fucking crazy with Scarface. I honestly don't think that's his best movie, but whatever, right? So now he started talking about the real good movies, not Scarface, like The Godfather Part 2, right? So he mentions, he talks about this scene when his brother betrays him, right? So he talks about it. He says, okay, guys, so I remember when we're shooting the scene and I see that my brother betrays me and I give him this look because that's the way I just like felt betrayed. And it was fucking awesome. And then, okay, it was cut. It's fucking amazing. Let's do it again. And Al Pacino says, you know what? No, I can't. I just can't repeat this same sensation, this same feel. I can't repeat it. It was just felt so real. I'm not gonna do it again, guys. Sorry. And and it was really weird. Now the actor, called the shots. But at the end of the day, it was a hell of a great movie, you know. So I
Yeah.
think that it also blends with what you mentioned. I mean, as long as it makes the movie, the picture, or the or the play.
I mean, but definitely, like, I mean, because obviously like, the way that I like to work is to perfection things, but I also can tell you that I feel when which is the tech that's gonna stick, which is the one. You
You,
know that you feel it
mhm.
because you
Yes.
feel that sincerity, you feel the truth. So, like, I remember it's crazy because in this crazy 14-minute one shot, plano sequencia, like we there were two takes that I was just like, and the director straight away, she said to me, like, it's either the first or the last. And I was like, okay, the first, the intention wasn't what she wanted, but it would have worked because it was really a very powerful take. But then the last one was like full of all these crazy nuances of all of these takes and all of this work. And I knew it was going to be the last one, but I was like, yeah, whichever one you say, like, I trust you, because you, like, when you have a really good team, you know that you have the same criteria, and you know that, like, anyone who could see something that is good knows that it's good. And I feel like this is something that the confidence that you get with a really good director is that they're not questioning themselves too much, and they're not overanalyzing things. They know what they want, and they know when it works, and they trust that, and I feel like I think everyone who's acted has had moments like that. And yeah, you feel something. I mean, I remember my first acting teacher. He said, sometimes you're on stage and you feel like the roof disappears and you're like connected to this, and that feeling is like, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it's just amazing. It's overwhelming because you let go of the things that move you as a person, and you give yourself to that reality. And I think that that's something that is, yeah, it's transcending. It makes you feel like you almost like you lived in another body.
Oh, definitely.
It reminded me with what Jael was saying about Al Pacino and I wanted to do another take because we felt that it reminded me of this story. And just to wrap that up, and I have one more question, and that's it. Uh, it reminded me of the story what Sean Penn directed this film with Jack Nicholson. I think he did two movies with Jack Nicholson. I think it was the first one, and it was this scene, and Jack Nicholson was supposed to be in the bathroom and crying, right? So Sean Penn says that they did the take a few times, and they did it a few other times because they had some issues with the camera and with the dolly. I don't know, because they had to do the shot a lot of times, and each time it was required that Jack had to like cry, but like bawl his eyes out, like crying, And Sean said that he was concerned because, oh my God, how am I gonna keep this guy like crying,
Right.
just like crying completely? I mean, the well is gonna empty out, right? Because and he said like take after take, Jack kept crying, but the same level, the same intensity, and he was like, what the hell? So at the end, when they had the whole thing done, Sean says that he went up to Jack and he said, how the hell did you do it? How the hell did you cry like that every single take? And Jack, being Jack, looked at him and went, we all have our secret, Johnny. I was like, of course, Jack Nicholson would say that, right? Um, so that was listener story. And my last question is, uh, as a performer, Anna, are you a shy performer? And I mean that in the sense of right before they're about to say action. Do you think that because this happens to me as an actor, I think that I'm going to fuck everything up just before they're gonna say action, and when they say action, like something happens here, but before that, I am just like completely torturing myself. And I think of myself as a shy performer. Even when I'm doing table readings, I don't know. I get very shy when I'm doing table readings for some reason. I don't know. Um, and I've talked to other actors, and others sort of feel like that. So this is another question that I like to ask, like proper actors. Are you a shy performer? Do you get self-conscious before that, or do you just have this confidence, like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this?
Oh, oh my God, this is gonna sound like I'm like avoiding the question, but the truth is, I try and think about it. I try and concentrate on all of the preparation and make sure I freaking nail my text. Like if not, that would make me very, very uncomfortable and nervous and terrified to go on set. But
Yeah.
if I have to do something, and even if I don't like it, especially if I don't like it, like I mean, when we filmed Mercy, I'd never done a full nude, and this was like a long nude, and it was like that you I didn't even know where the camera was going to be, so I didn't know what they were going to see or how much or anything, and I was like, I really can't think about this. If I think about this,
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to do it. So I literally just would not let myself think about it. I wouldn't think about who was there. I wouldn't think about anything except like what had to be done, which was very much about me and about listening to the other actor and being very, very present and being like completely focused on that presence and on being there and being connected to the nudge in this case. And yeah, I would say that the most difficult things that I've done, I try and prepare as much as I can, get a good night's sleep, and then go in there like all guns blazing, but like literally trying not to think about, because I think that the thing is wherever you put your energy, you kind of energy kind of steers towards that. So I think if I in my particular case, if I started to think I'm gonna fuck it up, I'm gonna fuck it up, then I would fuck it up. So like and I also like I developed like during the years of castings and filmings and everything, I think I did develop kind of a little bit of a comfort of feeling like if I'm here, it's because they know my capacity and they've chosen me. So if they've chosen me, then I must have what this director feels that they need to do this role. And and combine that with an absolute dedication to to do whatever is necessary. So like I would never dream of saying no to a director, even if I felt like that, unless I felt like it would physically hurt me. But like I have been very close to physically hurting myself and have still like I have a very, very deep incapacity to say no. So like once I've said yes to doing a role, like I'm all in, like whatever is necessary to get that done to the standard that the director wants. I'm completely there. I'm completely at disposal. I'll do anything, you know. So for me, um, I think those two things combined, like I have so much confidence in the fact that I'm there to do whatever is necessary and that whatever the director will want, if they have the patience to explain it to me and the patience to give me the text that I need to get there, I'm gonna get there. So like that's how I feel about that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Uh,
because I suppose I
you,
put all of my energy into that and I don't let myself think about fucking up.
yeah. And once again, I was about to wrap it up, but you touched on the subject of another question that I wrote, which I don't know. This about the idea of uh, taking risk in the pursuit of art. And in film we have heard many stories about directors putting directors in very uncomfortable situations.
I
And
mean, bring
in
them.
my early days it was my first film that I wrote and directed. This was about, god, 6 years ago. uh, and we had to do um, uh, this scene, and actually I was going to do that one where the character is like falling down from this sort of cliff. And I was gonna do it. I was like, I don't care if I break a fucking leg, even though we were doing the whole safety thing, as far as budget would allow it, Uh, but I was very adamant. I was like, I want this shot. I want to see the guy blah 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 fall. And even the cameraman was like, you know what? Yeah, man, I don't care if I break an arm. So we were all very very committed to it. At the end, we couldn't actually film that because the place where we were filming it, which was the tanks by in Texas. Um, the authorities, they were like, yeah, there's no way we're letting you, like, guys. And we're like, hey man, we got this, we got all the safety. They're like, yeah, there's no way you can do it. So we didn't do it because of that. Uh, Later on, as I did a couple other films and I gained more experience, I was like it dawned on me. I was like, what the fuck was I about to do?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, it would have looked cool in camera, you know, but I was like, why was I putting myself in danger? Why was I putting the cameraman in danger? I was like, and I just made like that very conscientious decision. So I was like, first of all, never put anyone in physical danger, but also never put them in any kind of like emotional
Yeah.
danger. I mean, yes, I mean, you give them the role, you give them the lines, you give them a little bit of the backstory, and you try to get the character in that the actor in that emotional state, But even if you're working with emotion, there is a limit because you don't want to traumatize the actor.
I understand that some it include you could even say some actors believe that that's what it is to act. Some actors feel like they have to suffer, but I don't think that that's necessary, and I don't even think that it's the best way to act. Like, because
Mm.
like, to be super explicit, like, what if my character comes in a different way to the way that I come? So like, I have to allow myself to explore that, with freedom from who I am when I'm approaching a character, So like, I wouldn't want to limit my character by the way that I do things. So I would I guess that, like, if we're talking about the limit between hurting yourself, like, I've definitely done some things, like at the end of Archivo 253, I'm pretty sure there's a take where I tell everyone to go fuck themselves because I almost broke my ankle, like, and I had to start the job in the university the next day after filming. So like,
Oh,
but and because there were definitely situations that I was in danger because of, well, just because sometimes there are films like that, that they just like go and run in a field and they don't check if there are any massive holes or anything. So it's like, oh, the
Yeah.
actor fell in a hole and broke her leg. So
Yeah.
I at that point, that was the first film that I did, and wasn't I wasn't aware of that, and I wasn't really protecting myself. And in
Mm.
some other films, short films that I've done, I've had situations that I felt very compromised in, and uncomfortable, and I maybe didn't defend myself as I would have wanted to, but I now have that very clear. Like, after like a lot of years, I can say that I know that I'm not going to damage myself as a person for a piece of for a film.
Of course, absolutely. Well, Anna, I think that pretty much ends it for us on this. We're gonna end it on this very dark note. You know,
Oh yeah.
we started very happy and cheery, and how we ended up
What happened? How did it
talking
get
very
so
low.
dark?
That's how you usually have conversations. You get very happy, and then you get very, very, very dark mood. So,
No.
uh, yeah, but no, Anna, it
yeah,
was
what
a
the fuck?
delight. It was a delight talking to you, um,
You
and
too.
I hope we can do this again.
More
And
often.
I hope we can work together someday on a film. I'm
So
always writing scripts, and actually, Jael is not gonna let me lie. I was writing a script a couple of years ago, and I had you in mind for a role. And Jael asked me
biggest
who's gonna
compliment
play
ever.
who's gonna play who's gonna play that line. Like, Anna Cetti, this actress that I met in Guadalajara. It's like, all right. So I had you in mind.
Really good
Uh,
smoke.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, you're gonna be smoking a lot. No, it's just smoke. Uh, so I don't know. I hope we can work together one day. And
Me. Like, that's it. This is the crazy thing. Like, we met 4 years ago in like crazy random party, probably a lot of mezcal involved. But
oh yeah,
this is the amazing thing about like connections, and it's still there, and here we are
here we
having an
are.
amazing conversation. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. I think you've sparked something of like, just like little chispas, little sparkly things going on in my brain of like, wow, this exists. It's really lovely to have this conversation with you guys. Thank you so much for the
Yeah,
invitation.
thank you so much, Anna. Jael, anything else you want to add before we
And
wrap it
thank
up?
you very much. It's great to finally meet you, virtually. Next time we'll be
Absolutely.
in person. But I remember that Joan talked a lot about you when he met you,
Ah,
Start off with the cigarette thing, and then and no, and it's really interesting that I mean, when in Rome, right? Somebody from Britain, and Italy, and Mexico. I mean, that type of people you don't even meet, and people that are so in love with the country, so focused in their craft. And now that we're learning more about you, getting you to know you better. Um, you have your background in philosophy. I mean, it's just really interesting all that you've done in this short time. So we want to see more of you, of course, and if there's a chance to work with you in the future, by all means. I mean, Joan is a great director. He's
I'm okay. I'm okay.
he's fine. He's fine. You
he's
know.
a most.
Um, uh,
It's crazy. This is one. I'm gonna end on something really ridiculous, just so we don't end on this horrible dark note. And because all of my life I've heard El Paso, and then at one point I was like, oh my god, El Paso is El Paso.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
El Paso.
crazy.
Yeah.
My brain, but I'd already spoken Spanish for like 10 years, and I was just like, what is wrong with my brain? In what moment did I not understand that El Paso was El Paso? Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like San Diego is San Diego, not San Diego.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
yeah, no, we will love
I
to
would
be
love this.
here.
That would be an absolute pleasure.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you off, Anna. This was Anna Cetti, British Mexican actress, wonderful person, wonderful talk. All right, thank you so much, Anna, and we'll let you go back to your thing, and we'll be in touch.
Definitely.